Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing News.
Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Welcome to another Q&A with the IBFP, and we're just going to dig right into it. We start with Gus. Gus states, please, Nuke, try to give some light as to why they aren't bashing Thurman for losing to Pacquiao, but they have said a lot of smack to Canelo losing to Mayweather. Well, you have to understand, Gus, that these are fanboys that are talking, because at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez was still very young, facing Floyd Mayweather Jr. nowhere near his prime, and he lost to a Hall of Famer, one of the best fighters to ever live. And so you can never bash Canelo Alvarez for that, because Canelo Alvarez was nowhere near his prime, nowhere near his best, and he was extremely young and youthful in his career, and he took on that type of challenge. And so you can commend Canelo Alvarez for that fight. But then when you look at a fight like Keith Thurman losing to a Manny Pacquiao who's over 40 plus years old, that says a lot for Keith Thurman and where he is in his career, because he's not the fighter that we thought he was, and we have to be honest and unbiased. And Wasi Rahman states, simple question, what are your opinions on Mikey versus Pacquiao? Now, Wasi, you weren't very, specific on that. So if you're saying who do I believe win, Mikey or Pacquiao, I'll have to favor Manny Pacquiao. If you're saying what do I think about this fight being potentially made, I think it's just a ploy for the PBC to save Mikey Garcia so he doesn't go with Eddie Hearn, because at the end of the day, we all know the PBC is afraid of anything to do with Eddie Hearn and taking their fighters, so they will just be luring this Manny Pacquiao fight for Mikey Garcia just to keep him in house. And the next one comes from Unbiased or Biased Boxing Talk. Salute to you, brother. He states, how come these LDBC channels and casuals with boxing channels like He Knows His Sport don't cover the fact that Spence is being treated horribly by Al Haymon? He's been a pro 1 year less than Crawford and is now finally getting the opportunity to unify and will not get the Manny fight. But Mikey Garcia is in talks to get the fight with Manny. Why aren't there videos about that from those biased channels? Because the only reason that there's not videos for that Unbiased or Biased Boxing Talk, the only reason there's not videos is because those guys are fanboys and groupies. You're absolute right. You see a guy like He Knows His Sport, he's the type of guy that wants Errol Spence Jr. to bulldoze him. You have to be honest and unbiased that these guys are groupies of Errol Spence Jr. They don't want to be objective and honest about anything, and if you say anything about Errol Spence, the PBC or Al Haymon, these guys get all sensitive and offended because they don't like the truth. But let's keep it going. Victor states, how much more do you think Jaime Munguia will improve as a fighter, having the legendary Erik Morales as his trainer? And I think that Jaime Munguia has the sky's the limit. He's only 22 years old. He can grow into an elite level fighter eventually. He has very good size, very good power, and Erik Morales could take him to the next level. But the true test is, how well does Jaime Munguia respond to coaching and criticisms? And so we have to see, and that remains to be seen, but we will find out very soon if Jaime Munguia has made enough improvements. And let's keep it going. Remy ROS states, J-Rock versus Idis Landy Lauda, December 14th. I don't believe that fight is official as of yet. I know it's something that's being floated and talked about, but I think that'll be a tremendous fight for both guys. I also think that this is Lauda's very last chance at a world title. I just don't believe that he'll get too many more opportunities, and I think that he has to grab this with both hands at this point. With J-Rock putting on such an impressive performance, he's a boxer puncher. He can kind of do a little more than the average guy. And for Lauda, we've seen him slow down tremendously. I just have to favor J-Rock at this point. And let's keep it going. Gary Manning states, who do you think will win, Josh Taylor or Regis Prograis? That's a 50-50 fight, Gary. I go back on that fight literally every single day. I'm going to make a 50-50 series about it for you guys. And I think that, some days I think Josh Taylor, some days I think Regis Prograis. It's really a 50-50 down the middle, and that's going to be one of the hardest fights to predict. Gary Manning also states, who do you think will win, Joseph Parker or Derek Chisora? And I think that Joseph Parker should win the fight, but I've learned a long time ago, never count out Derek Chisora, because I remember a Carlos Takam fight where Carlos Takam was winning the fight handily and Derek Chisora stopped him. So he has power and he can catch you with a good shot, but I feel like Joseph Parker is going to be too smart to fall into those traps. So I have to go with Joseph Parker. The next question comes from Ed Fats, and he states, Loma versus Bud, who do you think wins? Please keep your biased opinion out of it. It's just boxing strategy and technique, please. So just on strategy, just on technique, I think it's a 50-50 fight. I don't favor either guy over the other, because just on strategy and technique, Terrence Bud Crawford's a switch hitter. He can do different things in the ring, and he's literally adjusted to every style. When you look at Vasyl Lomachenko, he make guys, no mas. So he's a very special fighter as well. He has a high work rate, and I think both of these guys would be a tremendous challenge for the other just on skill and technique. And so I think it's 50-50, even right down the line. Now, if you start adding other intangibles in, such as power and reach, then that definitely has to go to Terrence Bud Crawford. But let's keep it going. Kevin states, if Canelo beats Kovalev, what do you think is next? The next goal to unify 160, or do you think he's past that? Always a great job on the videos, brother. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate that. And I think that Canelo Alvarez is going to do what he stated, same as Oscar De La Hoya, after he fights and beats Sergey Kovalev, which is what we expect. We expect Canelo Alvarez to come back down to 160 and then start unifying the rest of the belts and going undisputed. Great question. The next one comes from Manuel Delgado, and he states, why can't Charlo fight Andrade or Jacobs, or even Saunders challenge Andrade again? Canelo is making his moves. Why can't they make their own instead of fighting lower class opposition? And it's simple, because these guys don't want to risk losing to a lower tier opponent without that giant payday that Canelo Alvarez would offer them. But let's keep it going. Don Suave says, IBFP, can I get a shout out for my birthday, bro? Absolutely. Shout out to Don Suave. Happy birthday, my brother. He also states, you make my drives to work go by fast. Salute. And I want to know what you think about Usyk fighting at heavyweight as well. And I just really, I'm glad you bring that up. Oslander Usyk, I think he could be a potential world champion and can compete with the best. But at this point, we have to see Usyk in with a full-fledged heavyweight, see if he can take those shots, see if he's ready for that level of competition at heavyweight, because that heavyweight is a little bit different than cruiser, and any punch can put you down. But I will tell you this, Tyson Fury made some interesting statements about Oslander Usyk, about how he could easily beat Usyk, and I just don't believe that to be the case. I don't believe Usyk would be an easy out for Tyson Fury. Yes, he would have some height and reach over Usyk, but as far as skills, Usyk would be able to make a lot of adjustments, and I don't think Tyson Fury, is impossible to hit at all. So the fact that Tyson Fury is not a big puncher could play in the favor of Oslander Usyk. But once again, unbiased as always, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.